Welcome back, everyone. We've got another deep dive for you today. And this one's about something I think we all have some experience with, exams.
Exams. Yeah, definitely a familiar topic.
But we're not just talking about any exams. We're going deep on a question you guys sent in, which is about unproctored exams.
Unproctored. Interesting.
Yeah. So basically, we're going to be looking at how effective unproctored exams are at preventing cheating.
Okay, gotcha. So, like, comparing them to the traditional kind where you've got a teacher watching your every move.
Exactly. We want to see if just trusting students to do the right thing actually works.
Makes you wonder, right? Like, is that enough to deter cheating, or do we need all that supervision?
Right. And to really get into it, we've got some awesome sources lined up.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, first up, we've got research from Dr. Kang Lee's lab. They're kind of the leading experts in this area.
So I've heard of them. Their work is fascinating.
And then there's this super recent study that just came out this year. It's by Zhao and some other researchers. It was published in the Educational Psychology Review, so it's top-notch stuff.
Nice. Sounds like we've got some solid evidence to work with.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And to add a little historical context, we've also dug up some background information on proctored and unproctored exams, like where they come from, how they've evolved over time.
Oh, cool. A little trip back in time.
Exactly. So our mission today is to uncover the truth about unproctored exams. Do they actually encourage honesty? What role do things like reminders about academic integrity play? And what does this all mean for the future of testing?
Wow. That's a lot to unpack. But I'm game if you are.
Oh, I'm definitely in. I'm already hooked. So to kick things off, let's talk a bit about these two different approaches to testing. We've got proctored exams on one hand,
Right. The ones we're all pretty familiar with.
and then unproctored exams on the other, which
Yeah.
are kind of this radical idea in a way.
Yeah. It's like a total shift in how we think about trust and responsibility when it comes to students.
Totally. So I guess my first question for you is, what's the history behind all this? Like, where did proctored exams even come from?
Well, believe it or not, proctored exams have been around for ages. Like we're talking way back to ancient China during the Zhou dynasty.
Whoa, really? That's ancient.
Yeah. They use them mostly to select government officials. So, high stakes stuff.
I bet. So I guess cheating was a big no-no even back then.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The penalties were pretty harsh.
Yikes. Okay, so we've got ancient China using proctored exams to keep things fair. What about unproctored exams? When did those come onto the scene?
Well, that's a bit more recent. That shift started happening in the US around the 1830s with the whole honor code system.
Honor code.
Yeah, basically it's this idea that students can govern their own behavior, that they'll be honest and ethical even without someone watching over their shoulder.
Interesting. So which school was the first to jump on this honor code bandwagon?
The College of William and Mary, they were one of the early adopters. They really believed in trusting their students.
Huh. So from ancient China with the super strict proctoring to the U.S. taking a leap of faith with the honor code, that's quite a journey.
It is right. Two very different philosophies about how to prevent cheating.
Totally. So thinking about those two philosophies, which system do you think would make you more inclined to be honest? The one with all the watchful eyes or the one that says, we trust you? It's a tough question, right?
It is. I think it depends on the person, but it's definitely something to think about.
For sure. Okay.
Yeah.
But before we get too deep into the psychology of all this,
Yeah.
we've got to address the elephant in the room, cheating itself.
Right. Because let's be real, it's not a new problem.
Nope. Students have been trying to outsmart their teachers since, like, forever.
Oh, absolutely. Cheating's probably as old as exams themselves. We're talking cheat sheets, hidden notes, even good old-fashioned bribery. All throughout history.
Seriously, bribery.
Oh, yeah. It was a thing. And the punishments back then were way harsher than what we see today.
Like what? Detention? Extra homework?
Think more along the lines of shackles, caning, or even execution in some cases.
Whoa. Okay, that definitely puts things in perspective. So it seems like students have always been willing to push the boundaries. But I gotta imagine technology's made cheating a whole lot easier, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Technology has opened up a whole new world of possibilities for cheating. But let's not forget those classic methods haven't gone extinct either.
True. I mean, there's always a new way to cheat, I guess. But some of the old school methods are pretty creative, too.
Oh, for sure. I was reading about this student back in the 1800s who actually carved answers into his wooden leg. Talk about dedication.
Okay, that's a new one for me. I got to give him props for the creativity. But let's get back to the 21st century and that 2024 study you sent over.
The one by Zhao and his team.
Yeah, that one, it's pretty groundbreaking in terms of what it reveals about unproctored exams.
What makes it so interesting is how they went about it. It's a really solid study, methodologically speaking.
Oh, yeah.
They used a double-blind, randomized controlled field experiment.
Okay. So like the gold standard for research.
Exactly. Which means we can be pretty confident in the results.
And they use this clever technique to measure cheating. It's called the fake question paradigm.
Oh, yeah. That's a pretty sneaky way to catch cheaters red-handed.
Basically, they slip in questions about things that don't exist, like a made-up historical figure or a scientific principle that's totally bogus.
So if someone answers those questions correctly, it's a pretty clear sign they were looking for answers somewhere else.
Exactly. And the results, well, let's just say they were pretty eye-opening.
Oh, yeah. Spill the beans. What'd they find?
So across all four of their studies, the average cheating rate for unproctored exams was less than 8%.
Less than 8%.
That's pretty low.
Right. But here's the kicker. For proctored exams, the cheating rate jumped up to around 24%.
Whoa, that's a huge difference.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It really challenges the whole idea that we need to be constantly watching students to keep them honest.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Oh.
Like maybe trust is a more powerful deterrent than we give it credit for.
Right. It's like when we trust students, they actually rise to the occasion.
Yeah. Maybe it taps into their sense of integrity and responsibility.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting finding for sure. But there's another layer to this study that's pretty intriguing. They also looked at the impact of academic integrity reminders.
Oh, yeah. Like those little blurbs about the rules and consequences of cheating.
Exactly. And guess what? Including those reminders before the exam actually led to a significant decrease in cheating.
Regardless of whether it was proctored or unproctored.
Yep. So it seems like just reminding students about academic honesty can make a big difference.
It's like a little nudge in the right direction.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
The study mentioned that the reminders reiterated university policies, emphasized the consequences of cheating, and even included a real-life example of a student who got caught.
So a little bit of fear mixed with a dose of reality.
Sounds like a winning combination.
Yeah.
But it makes you think about how even subtle cues can influence our behavior, especially when it comes to ethics.
Yeah, it's like we're all susceptible to these little nudges, whether we realize it or not.
Totally. Okay, so we've got unproctored exams, A&D reminders, both working to keep things honest. But what about the extent of cheating? Like once someone decides to cross that line, does the format of the exam influence how far they go?
No, that's a really good question. It's not just about whether someone cheats or not, but how much they cheat if they do decide to go down that road.
So like, are they just peeking at their notes for a quick answer? Or are they going full-on plagiarism mode?
Right, and that's where this study gets even more interesting. They found that students taking unproctored exams actually answered fewer of those fake questions correctly.
Wait, so they cheated less extensively even when they did cheat?
Exactly, compared to those cheating in the proctored setting.
That's pretty wild. So what do you think explains that difference? Like, why would someone cheat less when they're actually given more freedom?
Well, one theory is that unproctored exams maybe encourage a more nuanced approach to cheating.
Nuance.
Like maybe students feel comfortable enough to kind of bend the rules a little bit, but not completely break them.
So it's like they're drawing a line in the sand. They're willing to cheat just enough to maybe get a slight advantage. But they're not going to totally betray their own sense of integrity.
Exactly. It's like they're still aware of the consequences and they don't want to risk getting caught big time.
Right. They're being strategic about it, I guess.
Yeah.
But what about the proctored environment? Why do you think people might cheat more extensively there?
Well, maybe it's because there's this heightened sense of pressure. Like if you're going to risk getting caught, you might as well go all out.
It's like that go big or go home mentality.
It's exactly. Plus, there's this element of competition. Maybe seeing everyone else around you with their heads down scribbling away makes you feel like you need to step up your cheating game too.
It's like a cheating arms race. Everyone's trying to outdo each other.
In a way, yeah. But the interesting thing is that unproctored exams seem to break that cycle.
By taking away that pressure and that sense of competition.
Right. It allows students to focus more on actually learning the material instead of trying to outsmart the system.
It's almost like unproctored exams are creating a more authentic learning environment. One where the focus is on genuine understanding rather than just getting the right answer by any means necessary.
I think you're onto something there. It's shifting the focus from performance to actual learning, which is what education should be all about, right?
Totally. But here's the big question. If unproctored exams really are more effective at reducing cheating and promoting genuine learning, should we be rethinking our entire approach to assessment?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's like we're at a crossroads in education. Do we stick with the old school proctoring model with all its limitations, or do we embrace this new trust-based approach with all its potential benefits?
It's like choosing between two different worlds, one built on control and surveillance, and the other built on trust and personal responsibility.
And the research seems to be suggesting that trust might actually be the stronger foundation.
But let's be real, there will always be people who try to take advantage of the system. So how do we balance this trust-based approach with the need to maintain academic standards and ensure fairness for everyone?
It's a tricky balance for sure. It's not about eliminating accountability altogether. It's about finding a smarter, more effective way to promote honesty and integrity.
And maybe those academic integrity reminders are part of the solution.
Absolutely. Remember, they had a significant impact on reducing cheating, regardless of the exam format.
It's amazing how such a simple intervention can make such a big difference.
It's all about bringing those values to the forefront of students' minds right
Yeah.
before they take the exam.
It's like giving them a little pep talk about ethics.
Exactly. And think about the long-term implications. If students are consistently exposed to this trust-based environment where integrity is valued and reinforced, wouldn't they be more likely to internalize those values and carry them forward into other areas of their lives?
It's like planting a seed. You nurture it, give it the right conditions to grow, and eventually it blossoms into something strong and resilient.
I love that analogy. It really captures the essence of what we're talking about.
So in a way, this whole conversation about unproctored exams is actually about something much bigger. It's about creating a culture of honesty and trust, not just in the classroom, but in society as a whole.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that trust is a powerful force. It can inspire us to be better versions of ourselves.
It's like we're starting a ripple effect, with unproctored exams as the first drop.
And who knows how far those ripples might spread? Maybe we'll end up creating a world where honesty and integrity are the norm rather than the exception.
Now, that's a world I'd love to live in. But for now, let's bring this back to the research. What are your final thoughts on all of this? What's the key takeaway for our listener today?
I think the big takeaway here is that unproctored exams, they might actually be a really effective way to reduce cheating.
Yeah, and maybe even more importantly, they could help foster a stronger sense of trust and responsibility in students.
Which could then spill over into other areas of their lives.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's about promoting a culture of honesty and integrity, which benefits everyone in the long run.
It's like we're challenging these old assumptions about human nature and the purpose of education. Like maybe we don't need all this strict control and surveillance to keep people in line.
Right. What if we actually get better results when we trust people and give them the freedom to make their own choices?
It's a pretty radical idea when you think about it, but the research seems to be backing it up.
It is radical, but in a good way, right? It's like we're pushing the boundaries of what's possible in education.
And who knows? Maybe this is just the beginning. Maybe this whole idea of unproctored exams could spark a much larger movement towards a more trust-based society.
That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? A world where trust is the foundation for everything.
Definitely. But, okay, let's be realistic. There's still lots of questions to answer and challenges to overcome.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, how do we implement unproctored exams effectively in different settings? What about the role of technology? And how do we ensure fairness for everyone while still promoting trust?
Right. There's a lot to consider.
Yeah.
But I think the important thing is that we're having this conversation. We're starting to question the status quo and explore new possibilities.
And that's what progress is all about, right? Challenging ourselves to think differently and find better ways to do things.
Totally. So for all you listeners out there, we want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. What if this shift towards a more trust-based approach in education is actually the key to unlocking not just academic honesty, but a more ethical and trustworthy society as a whole? Big question, but one that's definitely worth exploring.
Absolutely. And who knows what we might discover along the way.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of unproctored exams. It's been a fascinating journey, and we hope you'll keep thinking critically about these issues long after the episode is over.
Until next time, keep those questions coming.
See ya.